So unless you guys have been living under a rock, I'm sure that you've heard about the Diddy situation and the recent documentary that's been released on Netflix. I can't lie, I haven't finished episode 1 yet, so after I'm done with this video, I'll probably get back to it. And even though I haven't finished it, I do have a strong feeling this is an amazing documentary. And the best part about this documentary is that the executive producer of this project is actually Diddy's biggest hater, 50 Cent. Like, this guy's been hating on him since day one. Like, I can already tell when the allegations started to come out, 50 was like jumping for joy. Like, this guy's been praying on Diddy's downfall. And that's one of the things about 50. He is the biggest hater of them all. If you piss him off, he'll be hoping every day that everything in your life just starts to crumble. Like, let me explain where the whole Diddy hatred actually came from. It all started with Diddy being one of the most powerful hip-hop figures a few decades ago. Like, I'm gonna be honest, I don't know how Diddy and 50 came into contact. But the point is, Diddy calls up 50 and says, yo, you trying to go out somewhere? And 50 Cent was like, yeah, and expecting to say like bowling or something. But Diddy said, nah, let's go shopping. And 50 was obviously calm about it, like it's just shopping, isn't it? So he said, yeah. But then Diddy said something that changed up the conversation a little. He said he'll pay, and that to us is something normal to say when you're just trying to be a nice guy. But it wasn't the fact that he offered to pay, it was the way that Diddy said it that made 50 uncomfortable. He described it as Diddy testing the waters or comfortability with him, like seeing how far he can go with him. And apparently Diddy's always doing stuff like this. For example, he does an interview with Fabulous and the Drink Champs, and he goes,
I like when you like this, Daddy.
Yeah, where you put my bag?
Daddy, I like when you scrambling and scraping for shit.
No,
I like that.
Everybody goes quiet and Diddy doubles down and says the same thing again. And the same result, absolute silence. And then Fabulous was trying to move on, but Diddy stopped him and said to him,
I want you to party with me for your birthday, man.
We partied for my birthday before. You came to my party.
No, but me and you ain't never really party, you know what I'm saying? Eyes.
And even though the next segment was silent, Diddy pulls down his glasses, and according to a lot of people, when Diddy pulls down his glasses, he's implying, you know, partying, if you get what I'm saying. And this is exactly why 50 doesn't like Diddy, because he just makes everybody in the room feel uncomfortable. And if you make 50 uncomfortable, or pissed, or whatever, he won't let it go. And for the past 20 years, he's been warning us about Diddy, and now we know the truth. Anyways, now that we've got done with the obvious, let's move on to the next person 50 Cent hates. Ja Rule. A rapper that I only know because 50 hates him. I'm gonna be honest, I've never heard of the guy before this. But anyways, the story starts with a man named Kenneth, the most famous, unknown, powerful man in the streets at the time. Everybody looked up to him and lots of people sold shit for him, if you get what I'm saying. And he eventually gets put in prison, but then when he gets back out, one of his friends puts him onto a new rapper named Ja Rule, who's pretty decent on the mic. And we're not talking street, we're talking rap now, and Kenneth says, alright. But 50 didn't like this. Why? Because he was selling stuff for Kenneth as well, and assumed they'd have his back. And he said to himself, you know what, I'm being unfair, let me go meet this Ja Rule guy. So he goes to a place where Ja Rule was shooting a video, 50 introduces himself, and Ja just treats him like a nobody, and obviously 50 took this as mad disrespect. So he goes back to his house, gets a strap, and then comes back. Kenneth sees 50 and waves him over. 50 goes up to him like, yeah? Kenneth says, chill out 50. 50 says, Ja disrespected me. Kenneth goes, he's with me, so don't do it. 50 goes, fine, because he can't go against what Kenneth says because he's too powerful. So 50 goes to a recording studio and writes a diss about Ja Rule, but before he releases it, he shows it to Kenneth, and Kenneth says it's an absolute banger, but I'm gonna need you to take out Ja's name. 50 says fine again, and then releases it, and it doesn't take a genius to figure out it's about Ja Rule. Ja gets obviously very pissed about this, but it all goes down when they get booked for the same concert. But before the concert, one of Ja's team members and 50's manager talk to each other and agree that this is stupid, so let's try and get them to talk. One of Ja's members walks up to him and tells him this, but Ja doesn't want to talk this out, because in the song, 50 said that Ja wasn't about that life, and Ja wants to prove that he is. The team member eventually makes him promise they're only going to talk, and Ja agrees. They go to the function, Ja sees 50, 50 sees Ja. Ja pulls out a baseball bat and threatens 50. 50 remains unfazed, and as Ja is boasting about being a gangster, 50 knocks the absolute bitch out of him, and that leads to an all-out brawl. And just to make it even crazier, allegedly after the brawl is finished, 50 snatches Ja's chain, making everything 10 times worse. Kenneth hears about this, he's face palming, thinking, I thought I told them to squash this beef. So he calls an actual meeting, but 50 doesn't attend. Oh, and I also forgot to mention, 50 also made a song called How to Rob, where in the song he says he'll rob everybody in the music industry, making everybody in the music industry hate him too. He then goes to a recording studio in New York, and Ja hears about this. He pulls up to the studio with his crew, and one of them stabs 50 in the back. And this is the part where it gets extremely bad for 50, because Ja and everybody involved with the stabbing of 50 gets arrested, and they were confused on how the feds knew it was them. And an apparent restraining order comes out saying they can't be anywhere near Curtis Jackson, aka 50 Cent. And then they, in the most pettiest way possible, get a hold of the documents print them, and then start passing them around the streets. And if you know anything about hip-hop, if you get found out for being a snitch, it's basically game over for you. Like, just ask Gunna. To add even more salt to the wound, a song from 50 leaks called The Ghetto Quran. In this song, 50 name drops every single street guy he knows. But the thing is, with the song, it could also be seen as 50 praising all of them, but Kenneth didn't take it that way. And the reason was because Kenneth was in a bit of legal trouble with the FBI, and then Kenneth has a bombshell dropped on him, because he finds out that 50 Cent's song is actually in the court documents against him, and all the FBI wanted was for him to be nicked for all the stuff he did in the past, and he served his time. But in the FBI's eyes, he didn't serve enough time. And with all of that combined with the snitching, the Ja Rule beef, and all of the above, leads to Kenneth calling one of his shooters, who is actually one of Mike Tyson's childhood friends, to go out and end 50's life. 50 is just walking outside of his grandma's house when suddenly, bang, 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 he gets shot 9 times and is rushed to the hospital. And of course, he has to stay there for a while. And another insane part about all of this is that everybody knew that Kenneth was the one who put up the hit on 50, but there wasn't enough evidence at the time to convict him. But thankfully, they were able to convict Kenneth for a shitload of other stuff, and 50 eventually got out of the hospital as well. But another problem is, no one would sign him because he was labelled a snitch. While 50 was struggling with all of that, Ja Rule's career was absolutely popping off, getting a #1 album and absolutely dominating the rap game at the time. So even though 50 wasn't signed anywhere, a certain person who didn't care about any of that stuff, named Eminem, wanted to sign him, and he got the approval from Dr. Dre himself, and that's when the disses started rolling in. Like, 50 and Eminem were going diss after diss after diss towards Ja Rule over the next few years. And with all the power that Eminem had at the time, he managed to have the ability to stop Ja Rule from featuring on certain songs. And to this day, 50 is still dissing Ja, and all I have to say is Ja Rule who? And that will now officially wrap up my video about the 2 people 50 Cent hates the most. Hope you guys enjoyed, leave a like and subscribe, and let me know if I missed anybody out. You guys have a Merry Christmas, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.